Hey guys, this is Mrs. Harbin, and today we are looking at quadratic equations. One of the ways that we can solve quadratic equations is by using roots, which is what this whole unit has been about. Our biblical correlation comes from Exodus 31:2-3, which says, "See, I have chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills." Frequently, as we read throughout the Bible, we see that the Spirit of God, being filled with the Spirit of God, is accompanied by wisdom and understanding and knowledge. And we're told in multiple places that we are supposed to seek wisdom, that we're supposed to add to our knowledge and our understanding, and that we're supposed to add to our skills. We never know what kind of work we're going to end up in or what kind of skills we're going to need, but we know that all of these things that we're learning, math and English and science, can be used to take care of creation and to take care of other people. So we need to make sure that we're adding to our skills. And today we're going to add to our skill of solving quadratic equations. Your lesson objective for today is that you will solve quadratic equations with square roots. Quadratic equations are just a fancy term for describing equations that have an x squared term. Linear equations, like y equals mx plus b, have variables that are just raised to the first power, like x is just an exponent of 1 and y is an exponent of 1. Quadratic equations involve two x's, x times an x squared. Quad, four-sided shape, a square is a four-sided shape. Hopefully you see the connection between why it's called quadratic and that squared term there. So a quadratic equation just has that x squared term. When we graph quadratic equations, they make parabolas. There are a lot of things in life that can be described with parabolas. If you guys are familiar with Angry Birds or shooting a basketball or anything that has this kind of arch to it or arc to it, that's a parabola. So we use parabolas a lot to describe movement of different objects. So it is important that we can solve for unknown variables in quadratic equations. But there are two ways that we can solve this particular quadratic equation. X squared minus 4 equals 0. The first way that we can do it is by factoring. And some of you have learned factoring recently or have refreshed your memory of factoring. And for some of you, it's been a few years since you have factored. But the factoring way looks like this. Here we take this x squared minus 4. We recognize that it's a difference of two perfect squares. And we can split it into two factors. Factor 1 is x minus 2, and factor 2 is x plus 2. Factors, remember, are just things that we multiply. And if we were to multiply this back out using FOIL, first outside, inside, last, that would bring us back to our original quadratic equation of x squared minus 4. So we can split it to its factors. We can then set each factor equal to 0. Because if this blue factor times this red factor equals 0, then one of these has to be 0. According to our zero product property, if you multiply two things and get 0, one of them has to be 0. So we're going to set this both equal to 0, either x minus 2 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0, and then solve for x. When we do that, we get x equals 2 or x equals negative 2. Now, there is another way that we can solve this quadratic equation using what we've been learning about roots. And we're going to call this the square root trick, or taking squares. You'll see that x squared minus 4 equals 0. If we add 4 to both sides, what we get is x squared equals 4. Now, this is going to look very similar to some of the equations we just solved in our previous lesson. We want to solve for x. Right now, x is being squared. What's the inverse operation of squaring? Hopefully you said taking the square root, so that is what we are going to do. To undo this x squared, we need to take the square root. And we've got to remember our equation rule that whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So if we take the square root of x squared, we also have to take the square root of 4. And we get x equals 2. But hang on just a second. We only have one answer. And when we factored, we got two answers. So what have we done wrong? Well, we have to remember that when we have a square root, there are actually two possible answers. The two possible answers are either a plus or a minus. Think about it. Positive 2 times positive 2, that equals 4. But negative 2 times negative 2, that also equals 4. So whenever we take the square root of a number, we need to indicate that there are two answers by using this symbol, plus or minus. So x equals plus or minus 2. The square root of 4 is either positive 2 or negative 2. And now we have two different answers, a positive 2 and negative 2, just like when we factored. All right, here's another one done both ways. X squared minus 81 equals 0. We can factor this using our difference of squares. If we notice that both of those are perfect squares, okay, factoring, we would just write x minus 9 and x plus 9, because the square root of 81 is either negative 9 or positive 9. If we were to FOIL that back out, we would get our original equation. We'll then take each of our factors, our blue factor and our red factor, and say that they're equal to 0, because we know one of them must be equal to 0 in order for the whole thing to be 0. When we solve for x, we get x equals 9 or x equals negative 9. There's our two factors. Solving it the square root way, we would move the 81, add 81 to both sides, and we get x squared equals 81. We want to get rid of this squared symbol, so we're going to do that by taking the square root. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So x squared equals plus or minus square root of 81. X equals, sorry, didn't mean to click that. So therefore, x equals plus or minus 9. So we have two answers. You can see that it's the same two answers we got when factoring. If we were to plug those both back in, we would see that both of those answers work. Neither one of them is extraneous. Let's solve this one. X squared minus 10 equals 0. Now this one cannot be solved using a difference of squares because 10 is not a perfect square. So we are going to solve this one using the square root trick, the square root method. We'll add 10 to both sides to get x squared equals 10. Once we've got the x squared alone, we want to get rid of the square symbol, and we do that by taking the square root. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. Again, we still have to add that plus or minus so that we get our two answers. X squared will always have two answers for x, two values for x. When we solve that one, we get x equals plus or minus the square root of 10. We cannot simplify that any further. If we look at prime factorization, 10 is just 2 times 5, so there is no further way to simplify that. We would write that then as x equals negative 10, negative square root of 10, or positive square root of 10. All right, let's try these. X squared minus 36 equals 0. Pause the video, see if you can work this on your own, and then come back and check your work. All right, let's check to see how you did. First thing that we're going to do is add 36 to both sides here. Okay, we then take the square root of x squared equals 36. When we take the square root, what we get is that x equals plus or minus 6. Don't forget, you need two answers for all of those x squared quadratic equations. For a squared minus 3, we add 3 to both sides, and we get a squared equals 3. We then take the square root of both sides to get rid of that a squared symbol, and we get a equals plus or minus square root of 3. We cannot simplify the square root of 3, so that is our final answer. All right, let's try one that's a little bit harder. The first thing we want to do is get the x squared term alone, and then get the x squared alone. So that's going to take us a little bit more work. First things first, let's add 7 to both sides, and we get 25x squared equals 0. The x squared term is still not alone. It's being multiplied by 25, so the next thing we need to do is divide by 25. When we do that, we get x squared equals 7 over 25. We then want to take the square root of x squared, so we can undo this squared symbol here. If we take the square root of x squared, whatever we do to the left, we have to do to the right. So we get x squared, square root of x squared equals plus or minus square root of 7 over 25. X equals plus or minus 7 over 25. Now we can simplify this a little bit more. We can rewrite this as square root of 7 divided by the square root of 25. And the square root of 25 is just 5. So our final answer is plus or minus square root of 7 over 5. Remember that for x squared terms, when you finish, you must have two answers, a positive and a negative if we're doing roots. So make sure you get two answers. All right, let's try this one. Another one that's a little bit harder. First thing we need to do is get the x squared term by itself. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. And when we do that, we get 16x squared equals 9. We'll then divide both sides by 16, and we get x squared equals 9 over 16. When we take the square root of both sides, you can see we get x equals plus or minus the square root of 9 over the square root of 16. These are both perfect squares, so we need to simplify that further. And we do that by getting x equals plus or minus 3, square root of 9 is 3, and 16 square root is 4, so x equals plus or minus 3 over 4. All right, let's try this one. X squared, 8x squared minus 6 equals 0. The first thing we want to do is to isolate that x squared term, and we'll do that by adding 6 to both sides, which gives us 8x squared equals 6. We need to get the x squared by itself, so let's divide both sides by 8. When we divide both sides by 8, we get x squared equals 6 over 8. Now, if you follow this screen, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do this. So there's one way that's already going to be printed up here for you, and then I'm going to show you a couple of different alternate ways that we could do that. The first thing that we could do, which I don't believe this example does for you, is simplify our fraction. So I'm going to write that way over here. So we're going to write x squared, and we're going to go ahead and simplify our fraction. Dividing both the top and the bottom by 2, we get x squared equals 3 over 4. You're going to see they leave it as 6 over 8. They'll then take the square root of both sides. So we get x equals plus or minus square root of 6 over square root of 8. If I do that with my alternate way, having reduced the fraction, I get x squared equals the square root of 3 over the square root of 4. I could then simplify that because I know the square root of 4 is 2. So we have the square root of 3 over 2, and I'm done. They're always going to take a little bit longer. We then get x equals plus or minus the square root of 6 over, and then they simplified our square root of 8 as 2 root 2, using prime factorization of 2 times 2 times 2. Right. From here, we can rationalize the denominator, or, which is what they're going to do a little bit longer way, or we could recognize this. Square root of 6 over the square root of 2 is the same thing as square root of 6 over 2. And that's just the same thing. 6 divided by 2 is square root of 3. So I could just write square root of 3 over this 2, the 2 that we didn't touch. Okay, so if you didn't simplify your fraction and you got it to this point, you could just simplify your radicals. Square root of 6 over square root of 2 is the square root of 3. If you don't do it that way and you want to rationalize your denominator, then because you have a root on the bottom, excuse me, you're going to multiply this by square root of 2 to get rid of that root. And whatever you do to the bottom, you also have to do to the top, which gives a square root of 12 over 2 times root 2 times root 2. That can be simplified as square root of 12 can be simplified as square root of 4 times square root of 3. And our bottom can be simplified as 2 times 2. We then get 2 square root of 3 over 4. And then our 2 and our 4 can be simplified to square root of 3 over 2. Notice that we've added this plus or minus because we're dealing with roots and because we know we need 2 answers, a positive and a negative. Now, this is a very lengthy way to solve that problem. You'll see that if we reduced our fraction right from the beginning, that was a whole lot faster way to solve that. So I would recommend that you reduce any fractions that you get, if you can, so that you don't need to do all of these extra steps. All right, today we solved quadratic equations with square roots. Just a reminder, a quadratic equation is an equation with an x squared term. And because it's an x squared term, we will have 2 answers. When we are dealing with roots and square roots, what that typically means is that our answers will be a positive root and a negative root. So if we're taking the square root of 9, for example, we would have both a positive 3 and a negative 3. So don't forget, quadratic equations, x squared term needs 2 answers, and do that by taking the positive and negative root of those square roots. Make sure you write down any questions that you have about this lesson and ask me next class.